women's sevens, folks, at the Olympics Paris 2024 has had its final set of pool stage games and the 4 quarterfinals, which means it's either going to be a North American or Oceania-based side for the gold medal, with just the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand in the hunt, with the kind of semi-finals on the horizon. We'll go through the final pool games, we'll go through the quarterfinals, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things went. But yeah, gut feeling still says Australia-New Zealand final on the cards, but with sevens, I have learned nothing is guaranteed. Great Britain beat South Africa in the final pool stage game 26-17 after coming back from 12-0 down. That was pretty impressive. The Irish and Australians played out a heck of a pool stage game as well. Ireland had a couple of tries chalked off in that game for knock-ons, which is unfortunate, but close game. Japan flogged Brazil 39-12 in a hectic game with two sides which didn't make it to the quarterfinals. And then France, USA, two of the kind of top sides in that pool. It was France with the win. USA good at the breakdown, but the French girls too dominant, especially in the second half. Canada against China. China opened the scoring, but Canada was able to push through and get a win 26-17. And then New Zealand beat Fiji 38-7, really convincing. Biggest cheer of the game was for Fiji's final kind of consolation try. That led to the quarterfinals. First one, New Zealand-China, was a repeat of the pool stage game, which was a convincing win for the New Zealanders. Same thing here with a 55-5 scoreline. Maybe the biggest talking point is Hirini escaping with a yellow. Her high shot on one of the Chinese girls really looked like a red, but they managed to find some mitigation there. She had gone over for the first try of the game on 40 seconds. Hirini blighted, put in a great try-saving tackle. The Chinese actually had a bunch of ball very early on after conceding the first try, and they did manage to score after Hirini got yellow carded to make it 7-5, but New Zealand absolutely ran away with the game. Miller with a great assist. Blythe got one before half-time. Woodman Wycliffe got one before half-time. Waka got on the board. The only work on, I guess, is some of the restarts for the New Zealanders not going 10 metres. China couldn't catch a restart to save their lives. So, yep, 55-5. I mean, good on China for getting to the knockout stages, but you can see the class difference between a side like New Zealand and China for this one. GB against the US. The US get it done, 17 points to 7. The US went behind early. The GB girls scored after holding a US tackler up in the tackle, which is not something I've seen much in the old sevens. We see it a lot in 15s. Tackle comes in too upright. All the other players rush in when the tackler's not able to get a knee to ground. But in sevens, it's kind of hard to do that, because if they get an offload away, you've got three people around one ball carrier, 3 tacklers around one ball carrier. There's going to be too much space. But no, we saw that happen. So a turnover for GB, and then they scored from that turnover ball, so 7-0. But then the US scored on the back of a penalty at the breakdown, which their breakdown work was still phenomenal in the second half as well. Second game as well, of the day. So 7-5. Joyce put on a great try-saving tackle on Ma before halftime. So it was 7-5 at halftime, but the US, a couple of tries. Kershey made one, scored one, and assisted one in the second. And then GB, when they had to chase the game, they were like a minute left on the clock. They got a penalty and then just knocked it on from the tap. So a really brutal one, but a cracking game, 17 points to 7. So congrats to the US girls. France against Canada. It's been a while since I've worn a Canadian jersey in a rugby video, I'll be honest with you. But 19-14, they upset the home side. Crowd really behind the French. But then that girl, Logan, loves a snipe from the back of the scrum. She scores 2 tries in this game. France scored in reply to the initial initial Canadian try. So it was 14-14 for a while. But yeah, there was basically a situation at the end of the game where it's 14-19. France need to go 100 metres to get themselves back in front. Time is out, but they went about 50 of them and ended up, I think it was either a forward pass or a knock on. So yeah, heartbreak for the French after a great pool stage, but what a win for the Canadians. And then final game, bit of a lopsided one, the Aussies against the Irish, 40 points to 7, so kind of similar to the New Zealand-China game, to be fair, and how lopsided it was. Madison Levi is incredible. Her try scoring is unbelievable at this tournament. She has scored so many. She got one really early on. Ireland did go through a bunch of phases in reply, but then as soon as they turned the ball over, I think it was both the Levi's just went length of the field, and I think it was Maddie who finished off that one. So 26-0 lead at halftime. It's pretty much game over. Ireland did finally score one to make it 33-7, which the crowd loved, but she was all pretty much dead and buried by that point. So final score 40-7 is a bit of an old hiding. So semi-finalists for the final day's action will see New Zealand take on the US and then Canada take on Australia. It'd be fascinating to see either a New Zealand-Australia final, which I think is the favourites, or imagine two upsets. Imagine Canada-US in the final. To be honest, we need a medal here in New Zealand. We are still medalless after the opening days of action. So a lot of hopes going on the Black Ferns Sevens girls here in New Zealand to at least get us, if not gold, at least get us into the medals. There's a 3 out of 4 chance that's going to happen. They would have to lose both of their next games to come away with nothing from this one. But hey, the 7 seems to be pretty nuts. We'll see what happens. But as I said, gut feeling tells me it's a Oceania-based final between Australia and New Zealand. But we will see. You guys let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.